Hi, I'm Karen, the Weekend Craftaholic. Thanks for joining me. Today I've got a process video for you, and this was a really fun one to make. I've got this 6x6 pad from Echo Pie. You can see the details here, and I couldn't resist getting this. I love journaling pictures of our little pooch, and I've got loads of photos that I've been meaning to use for a while. And you can see here I've also got some die cuts, and I can't remember where they were from. I think they were Echo Park as well, but I've had them for a few months now, and I really can't remember. But I wanted to do a layout in my little book here, and I thought this was a great opportunity after finding this pad. Now, the great thing about these pads are the fact that they are double-sided, and they do have two of each image as well, which I really love. So you've got lots of opportunity to use some of these. And I love that the fact the images are a lot smaller as well, so they're really good for these smaller layouts. Now you see there's a lot of choice in these, and I love the quality of the paper. I'm going with a brown one only because a lot of the die cuts that I've got are brown, and I think that's probably the best way to go with this theme, even though it's a really boring colour to go with. It's not a colour that I would normally go with. That said, it is only going to be used for the background, so I think I'm going to get away with it. So the downside to these pads 6x6 are they're just not big enough for these little inserts that I like to use as travelers notebooks. So what I'm doing here is just piecing this up, and that's why, as I said, it's great that there's two sheets of this. So it's a bit like wallpapering really. I'm just trying to match up the pattern at the top, and I'm not too worried about any visibility of that pattern, to be honest, because I am going to overlay it with some die cuts and photos, so really to try and hide it. But you can see here I'm just piecing it up to make sure I've got a full page now on that sheet. And that side's done. Now, I've got quite a few pictures here. As I said, I've been wanting to make use of these for a while now. They seem to be collecting too many. And initially I thought I'd do a little bit of a collage because I know I've got some random size photos. But as I'm going through some of these odds and ends, I'm thinking it's probably going to be a little bit too difficult because I did want to use that main picture in the middle with his tongue sticking out. That was a trip in the car that he's not done for a while. I also love the green on this picture as well, just to break up that brown background, I guess. And I also like the lightness in this photo, but I think it's just too big even to cut down for the width of the picture. So as I'm playing around with these photos and deciding where I'm going to put each, I know I'm definitely going to use this picture, so I decide this is probably the right time just to commit and stick down this one. And once I've done that, this is a good time, I think, now just to start looking through the die cuts and making some decisions of which one I want to use. So this one I really love, so I'm definitely going to make use of that. I think that's a good placeholder at the bottom of the photo. And they've got some great sentiments in this pack actually, so I have already done a couple of spreads with this. So you can see I've still got lots left over as well. And this little sentiment as well, I absolutely love. So once I've done that, I decide now it's probably time to concentrate on the right hand side, and I decide what I'm going to do rather than use another piece of paper because I don't want my book too thick, is I'm going to try and use some stamps on this side instead. So I've just got a selection of brown colours as well that I want to use. This stamp is a dog stamp from Kelly Stamps, and I use this quite a lot actually because, as I say, Fudge, our little dog, is very photogenic, and we do always like to take lots of pictures of him. So I'm just putting these stamps now in a bit of a random layer really. I know again I'm going to cover most of this up with photographs on this side, so it doesn't have to be too neat, it doesn't have to be too perfect. You can see that they're not straight in any way, it's just a way of having random stamps behind it really to fill it out. So I'm trying to go down in an ombre effect. That's not what I'm looking for though. What I'm really looking for is random stamps with random colours, and I probably should have been a bit smarter about this and used lots of different acrylic blocks with the stamps and then put them a little bit more hit and miss. But I thought if I went down in a bit of an ombre effect, I could then go back later with different colours and fill in the gaps, because I really do like this Good Boy circular stamp, so I knew I wanted to be able to see that behind the photos. The rest of them I wasn't too worried about, they were more of a filler if you like. So whilst it takes me a bit of time to do this, I do love playing with stamps and I don't use them half as much as I should do. So I really do enjoy the process of this. I've obviously sped it up for your benefit, because there's nothing worse than just watching someone stamp. But yeah, I do really have a lot of fun using these, especially when I've got different shades of colour here. And I particularly love these little Memento teardrop ink pads as well, especially the way it goes into the point. If you did want to make a different kind of ombre effect on a larger stamp, I find it really easy to do on an acrylic block as well. So I definitely recommend those little ink pads rather than the big ones. And just going back to the paper pad, I think this sheet's perfect to use as cut-up sheets as sentiments. So I'm just going through that now and cutting out some of these just to add as extra little die-cut pieces, if you like, just to frame some of these photos. I think they're a great way of adding some effect to a layout without costing too much if you don't really particularly like using die cuts. So now I'm just going back to my photos and just choosing which one I can use on this side. And as I said, I really wanted something that was a little bit lighter, not too dark, just to try and take the focus away from that dark brown print at the background. And I'm just overlaying these slightly as well and trimming them down so they fit. Now there is this label in the die cut set, so I'm just using that for my journaling and just to make notes of the day, because it was just his trip in the car on the way to the park that we've got photos of here. So I'm just sticking that down now on the right hand side of the layout, and now I want to actually bring out a little bit more colour, and I think the pink of his tongue is perfect. So I've got these little puffy hearts here that I want to use, and I'm just going to put them across the layout really just to try and bring a little bit more colour into it. I also want to add a little bit more pink, and I'm just going through my scraps here because I know I've got lots of little scraps that I could use just to put some layers behind some of these photographs. So I'm just having a look at a colour of shades just to see which one's best. This is a nice pink actually, it's got a bit of a shimmer on the paper, and I'm just tucking that, not taking too much care or measurement really, when I'm cutting these out, because I know most of it's going to be hidden behind the photograph. So I'm just cutting those down, and again just in sets of threes really across the layout, and trying to decide which placement to put them in just to add a bit more of pop of pink. Okay, and I'm pretty happy with that now. I don't want to add anything more to it. I think it's going to get too messy otherwise. So I'm just using my Wink of Stella pen just to add a little bit of sparkle just on those sentiments. And then the only thing left to do after I turn off the camera, as I always do, is add a few sequins, again, just around the place.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you've got any comments about this video, please leave them below. I'd love to see them. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. That way YouTube knows to recommend similar ones for you. And finally, if you'd like to see more from me, and I hope so, please subscribe by clicking the link below. I post new content every weekend.